Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Today, we're tearing down an idea that I think a lot of us still hold on to. This idea that growth has to be achieved, completely in isolation.
Right. It's such an outdated model.
It really is. I mean, if you look at the landscape today, the most efficient way to scale is often through really intelligent cooperation.
Exactly. And that's why we're doing this deep dive on strategic alliances. We're pulling from Felix Römer's work.
A really fantastic framework.
It is, because this topic is just massive right now.
Yeah.
You have these capability gaps opening up, and they're widening faster than any single company can possibly fill them.
So an alliance isn't just a temporary project.
No, not at all. It's essential architecture. It's for capturing opportunities that you simply cannot get to on your own.
Okay, so let's nail down the definition right away, because I think people get this wrong. We're talking about a kind of shortcut, aren't we?
In a way.
Yeah.
A strategic alliance is a structured collaboration. Two companies agree to share resources, share goals, but, and this is the absolute key,
They stay separate.
they stay financially and legally separate entities. This is not M&A. Your governance, your control, your balance sheet, all of it remains distinct.
Which is so important.
It is, because for you, the professional listening, an alliance is really the fastest tool for getting capabilities that would otherwise take years. And frankly, massive amounts of capital to build internally.
You're buying speed.
Speed, distribution, and credibility.
All at once.
It lets you accelerate your time to market, diversify revenue.
And all without that cultural shock and the nightmare integration of a full acquisition.
Right. It lets you pilot big strategic moves with much less commitment.
Mm.
And here's the problem that Römer's article points out so well. A lot of these partnerships just end up being, nice to haves.
They don't move the needle.
They never move the needle.
And that's the challenge, right? How do we make sure a potential partnership is a truly strategic alliance?
And not just another vendor agreement.
Or a simple referral channel. So Römer lays out 5 criteria, 5 high-impact tests, and he argues you really have to meet all of them.
They're a filter. A really rigorous one. The first one is core objective criticality.
Foundational.
It has to be. If the alliance isn't essential to a primary business goal, I'm talking a quantifiable goal, like a big revenue target, or cutting costs per unit by, say, 15%.
Or grabbing a leadership spot in a new market.
Exactly. If it's not tied to something that big, it's not strategic, it's actually a distraction.
I can just hear stakeholders now claiming every partnership is critical. But if we're being honest, the question should be, if this alliance fails, does it seriously jeopardize our Q3 results?
Yes. The test is jeopardy, not just convenience. That brings us to the second one, which is about internal growth. Competency building.
Okay.
The alliance has to help your company learn or defend a core capability. So you partner with someone who is world-class at something you need to be good at. You're basically building institutional muscle by working alongside them.
That sounds, a bit expensive. If we need to build a competency, why bring a partner into our own operations? Why not just, hire the talent?
Because of that acceleration we just talked about. Say you need machine learning to process customer data. The market leader already have the models built.
Right.
Partnering with them gives you immediate access to their knowledge, their talent, their protocols. It just dramatically speeds up your learning curve compared to trying to build a team from scratch.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's pivot to the defensive side. The third test, threat blocking.
Oh, this is a powerful one. A great strategic move.
How so?
This kind of alliance is about preventing a rival from getting an unfair or an exclusive route to the market. So, for instance, you secure a key distribution deal with a major channel partner.
And in doing so, you block your closest competitor from that same channel.
You're denying it to them. It's about preempting your moves, defending your turf before you're forced to react to them.
That feels very proactive. It's moving from just passive collaboration to creating a real competitive moat.
It is. Now, the fourth criterion looks to the future. Future options.
So long-term thinking.
A truly strategic alliance has to create, or at least preserve, pathways for expansion. Maybe even for an exit down the road. It's an investment in your own flexibility.
So we're keeping doors open. Maybe this gives us a foothold in a new country or a new vertical that we wouldn't dare enter on our own.
Exactly. Or it could validate your technology in a way that makes your whole company more attractive to a future acquirer, if that's the long-term play.
Right. And the last one.
The fifth is risk mitigation. Plain and simple. The alliance must reduce a key business risk.
Give me an example of that. How does a partnership actually reduce risk?
Think about the supply chain.
Mhm.
It's on everyone's mind. Dual sourcing,
Yeah.
right? You get that through an alliance with a second reliable manufacturer. Now, a fire at one factory doesn't paralyze your entire production line,
Or in R&D.
or in complex product
Yep, yeah.
development, yeah. Co-development shares the technical and financial burden. You're spreading the risk of failure across two balance sheets, not just one.
So if you can tick all 5 of those boxes, you have a deal worth fighting for.
You have a deal worth getting executive sponsorship for, absolutely.
Okay, so that rigorous pre-vetting is critical because once we know we have a strategic need, we have to pick the right container for the deal.
The operational container.
Yes.
This is where control, speed, and capital all come into focus.
You don't want to over-engineer a simple co-marketing campaign.
Exactly. The structure has to match the objective. The source material details 3 main forms, and picking the wrong one can kill the whole thing before it even starts.
Let's start with the heaviest lift, joint ventures or JVs. When is that kind of commitment actually warranted?
A JV is what you need when you're creating a truly distinct entity, something that needs its own dedicated profit and loss statement, a separate P&L, and its own long-term governance.
So it's for projects that need their own brand, their own focus management, totally separate from the parent companies.
Precisely. A good example was the Microsoft and GE Healthcare JV, Caradigm. They were building a whole new health platform. It needed long-term focus, shared IP, serious compliance. A simple contract was never going to cut it. It had to operate as its own regulated company.
Okay, moving down in complexity. Equity alliances. This is where one party actually invests capital in the other.
Right. And that investment is critical for 2 reasons. 1, it signals real commitment. 2, it aligns your incentives.
Because your success is financially linked.
Of course. The classic example here is Panasonic's early $30 million investment in Tesla. That wasn't just cash. It jump-started their battery collaboration, and it made sure both companies were intensely focused on that EV innovation timeline. You're buying aligned self-interest.
Which is powerful. And then the third, most flexible bucket, non-equity collaborations.
This is where speed meets low cost.
The default for most partnerships.
It's the default for things like channel reach, fast pilots, co-marketing.
Yeah.
Any time an ownership swap is just completely unnecessary. The value is in leveraging existing infrastructure.
Like Starbucks inside a Target or a Barnes & Noble.
The perfect example. It's a pure operational and audience collaboration. It increases dwell time and basket size for Target.
And gives Starbucks guaranteed foot traffic.
All without either company messing with the other's cap table.
So the big lesson here is, don't just default to the structure you know. Match the deal type to the regulation, the IP, the capital intensity of your actual goal.
Match the market, match the objectives. That has to be the guiding principle.
Now we get to the why it matters part for our listeners' bottom line. Once the deal is structured correctly, what are the measurable benefits we should actually expect?
The number one upside is acceleration. We've touched on it, but let's be specific. Accelerated entry. The fastest way into a new market is to plug into a partner who's already there. You skip the 2 years it takes to build a new distribution network from scratch.
So if I'm a software company and I want to reach small businesses, I partner with the payment processor that already serves 10 million of them.
Precisely. Which leads directly to capability acquisition. You gain these complex functional capabilities, logistics networks, proprietary manufacturing methods, you name it, that would take your company years to build. You prove value to your customers so much faster.
And the third major benefit you mentioned was risk sharing. This is more than just splitting the cost, right?
Oh, much more. It's about diversifying your exposure. Shared investment is one thing, but you also get what you might call the brand halo effect.
So if you partner with a trusted brand...
That trust instantly transfers to your product. It shortens sales cycles, it reduces your customer acquisition risk. It's a huge advantage.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but we know this work is brutally difficult in practice. Let's talk about the risks. There's the administrative burden, right? The PMO overhead.
Yes, and that's not just hiring a project manager. It's the cost of alignment. It's
Right.
the endless meetings, the systems integration work, the legal reviews, just to make sure you're both speaking the same language.
And then there's the silent killer, the cultural clash.
The absolute silent killer. You mix one company that moves fast and breaks things with another that is completely process-driven.
And you just get friction.
You get friction that can grind the entire project to a halt. And you can't ignore the brand exposure either. If your partner has a service meltdown or an ethical scandal, your brand is immediately caught in that fallout.
So what's the antidote? How do you manage these inherent risks?
Rigorous, pre-launch governance that has to be bulletproof.
Walk me through what that looks like in practice, beyond just a standard contract.
Okay, first, the contract obviously defines scope, deliverables, data use. But the really deep insight here is managing the intellectual property, the IP.
That's always the sticking point.
Always. You need a crystal clear delineation between what's background IP, what each of you brings to the table, and what's foreground IP, which is what you create together. Who owns it? Who can license it? And what happens to it if the relationship ends? You have to solve that up front.
That complexity is why these deals can drag on forever. Everyone wants to own the future value.
Correct. But the most critical piece of governance, and the one people skip, is planning the divorce on the wedding day.
Defining the exit terms.
You have to agree on the wind-down triggers, the timelines, the asset division before you launch. Because priorities will inevitably change. They always do. And this ensures the relationship can adapt or dissolve safely, protecting both brands.
I also see a lot of alliances try to scale way too fast. What about validation? We don't just jump into a full implementation, do we?
Absolutely not. You have to run a focused pilot phase. Use stage gates. Use it to validate your core assumptions. Is the market demand real? Does the operational flow actually work? Can the partners even allocate the resources they promised?
And you only scale based on clear performance signals from that pilot.
Not on enthusiasm alone. And that performance measurement, to your point, has to be just as rigorous. You need shared KPIs.
Tied directly to those critical objectives we talked about at the start.
They have to be. A whole stack of them. Adoption rates, customer retention, sales pipeline generated, net promoter score, whatever matters. And you need named owners on both sides responsible for those exact metrics.
A unified dashboard.
A unified dashboard. Use shared data and retrospectives to optimize your investment. If one channel is blowing the other out of the water, you pivot your resources there. It's accountability through total visibility.
Okay, now that we have the mechanics down, let's bring this to life. Let's look at some real-world successes that really confirm those criteria we discussed.
Sure. Let's start with a great customer experience alliance. Uber and Spotify.
Right, where riders could stream their own personal playlists during a trip.
The value there wasn't really in the product itself, it was in the integrated experience. It boosted engagement for both. Uber's rider satisfaction went up, and Spotify got valuable cross-exposure to a huge captive audience. It was a capability neither could build alone.
Okay, and then a very different strategy. The content engine. Red Bull and GoPro.
A content powerhouse. They combined Red Bull's extreme sports events with GoPro's point-of-view camera tech. What did they get?
A never-ending stream of authentic, high-octane media.
Which amplified community buzz, positioned both of them as the undeniable leaders in the adventure category, and it just fueled their sales. It met that core objective criticality test for both of them.
And a great example of a non-equity deal we mentioned earlier, Starbucks and Target.
It's a masterclass in risk-free expansion. Starbucks gets instant access to Target's reliable foot traffic.
And Target keeps customers in the store longer, spending more money.
They're not competing. They're leveraging existing physical space to mutually increase revenue. It's a perfect high-impact non-equity collaboration.
Let's do one more, a technical one that really shows speed and trust. Apple Pay and MasterCard.
Right. When Apple launched its mobile payment system, it needed two things immediately: trust and scale.
Things it didn't have in the payments world.
Exactly. So partnering with an established network like MasterCard gave them that credibility instantly. This alliance let Apple leapfrog competitors by combining their new tech with a global regulated infrastructure that was already there.
That's capability acquisition at its absolute fastest.
And it led to all their later expansions into financial offerings.
So the big lesson from all of these is that success really hinges on picking partners who solve a genuine, quantifiable gap in your business model.
It's not just about finding someone you like working with. The most dangerous alliance is the one that succeeds operationally but fails strategically.
It wastes time, it wastes resources.
And it doesn't move the core business forward an inch.
So if our listener is ready to start leveraging strategic alliances today, what is the single, immediate, actionable next step they should take?
Okay, you have to start with precision. Your next step should be to shortlist targets that demonstrably fill those 5 strategic gaps we talked about. Then, sketch the mutual value case, the specific measurable outcomes you both need, and finally, initiate a pilot with a tightly defined scope and timeline.
And the one piece of advice you've really hammered home.
Define the exit terms up front. Document the triggers, the timelines, the asset division, all relationships change, and your strategic plan has to account for a safe, non-litigious wind down. It's about protecting your brand and your investment no matter what the outcome is.
That is fantastic advice. It ensures the partnership has a clean runway from the very beginning. Thank you for guiding us through this.
My pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. We hope this deep dive into strategic alliances gives you the intelligence you need to stay ahead.
You can find the full article we've been discussing, Strategic Alliances, Leveraging Partnerships for Growth by Felix Römer, linked directly in our show notes.
And make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you listen so you don't miss our next deep dive into the future of work and productivity. Until next time.